the will and testament left by Menglong. The final message. The nation had been stunned. The broadcast of Menglong's last moments had left millions in shock, but the story wasn't over. The darkness that had haunted his life, the silences that had crushed his spirit, were only the beginning. Now, the world was about to witness something even more profound, a revelation sealed by death, a testament of truth and loyalty that no one could have imagined. Wang Yiba and Xiao Zhan sat in the same dimly lit room where they had first watched the Supreme Court video. Their faces were pale, eyes hollow, and hearts heavy with the weight of grief and responsibility. They had both seen the fear in Menglong's eyes, had felt the trembling in his hands, had heard the courage in his voice. And now a new envelope had arrived, a thick, sealed package with his handwriting scrawled across the cover. To those who loved me and those who will carry my truth, read this only when the world is ready to hear. Yiba's fingers trembled as he broke the seal. Zhan leaned closer, the air between them electric with anticipation. Inside, there was a will and testament, a document far more than legal formality. It was a confession, a warning, and a roadmap to the hidden truths that had nearly destroyed them all. The first page was simple, almost fragile, but the words were heavy with emotion. If you are reading this, then I am gone. I leave you not my wealth, nor my fame, nor the empty applause of a world that misunderstood me. I leave you the only thing I could not take with me, the truth. Yiba swallowed hard. His hand shook. Zhan's breath caught in his throat. They read the words aloud together, and with each line, the room seemed to shrink, as if Menglong's presence lingered among them, guiding their every thought. The document went on to detail everything that had been hidden from the public. The scandals that had been twisted, the manipulations of power behind the scenes, the betrayals that had forced him into silence. But more than the past, it was the people he trusted, the ones he loved, who were written into the will. Yiba and Zhan above all. You two were never just friends. You were my lifeline, my light in the darkest of days. And though the world will try to silence you, the responsibility now lies with you to speak, to act, to reveal the truth I could not. The gravity of the words hit them like a storm. Yiba's jaw clenched. Zhan's hands trembled, gripping the edges of the paper. This was no ordinary will. This was a battle plan, a testament of courage, a declaration that Menglong's story would not end in obscurity. As they turned the pages, the scenes of his life unfolded like a secret movie. Menglong had meticulously documented his final days, the messages he had left for allies, the careful instructions for how to protect evidence of his innocence. There were names, dates, and detailed accounts of the people responsible for the conspiracies that had destroyed his career. One section stopped them cold, a series of personal letters addressed to Yiba and Zhan. The first read, Yiba, my brother, when they came for me, you were too far to stop them. But you must not falter now. I entrust you with the first key, the flash drive you found in my cell. Guard it with your life, and let it reveal the names that must face justice. The second, addressed to Zhan, was almost poetic. Zhan, my heart has always known yours. The world tried to bury me, tried to erase the light we shared. But you must not hide in grief. Speak, act, and remember, love is stronger than fear, and courage outlives the cruelest silence. Tears streamed down their faces. They could feel his presence as if he were in the room, whispering courage into their ears, guiding their hands, steeling their hearts for the storm to come. The will revealed a series of hidden items, carefully concealed in various locations, a flash drive containing video evidence of the conspiracies and recordings of powerful figures planning his downfall, a notebook of encrypted messages that only Yiba and Zhan could decipher, using codes they had developed years ago in private conversations with Menglong, a sealed letter for the media, to be opened only when the public was ready for the full truth. These items, the will read, are more than objects. They are weapons, shields, and torches. Use them wisely. Protect the innocent, expose the guilty, and remember that justice is not blind. It sees what courage allows it to see. As they read, Iba felt a shiver crawl up his spine. He remembered the night Menglong had first handed him a key, whispered instructions, and urged discretion. That trust, that unwavering faith, had never wavered, even in the face of death. Jean looked at him, eyes burning. "We can't fail him," he whispered. "Not now. Not ever." The will's final pages were the most shocking. They revealed a secret that no one had suspected, a hidden confession from one of the most respected figures in the entertainment industry, someone Menglong had trusted, someone who had orchestrated the events that led to his imprisonment. The final truth, Menglong wrote, is that betrayal often comes disguised as love, as friendship, as mentorship. And yet, even in betrayal, the light of loyalty shines through those who remain faithful. Iba, Jean, you are the keepers of that light. Iba's hands shook as he folded the will. Jean pressed his shoulder for support. They realized the stakes were higher than they had imagined. This was no longer about grief or mourning. It was a call to arms, a moral battlefield where the truth would clash with the forces that had silenced Menglong for years. Outside, the rain began again, tapping against the window like a drumbeat heralding a coming storm. It was as if nature itself mourned the life lost and prepared the world for the reckoning that would follow. Menglong's final message concluded with words that would echo through their souls forever. "Remember me not for the way I fell, but for the way I loved, the way I trusted, and the way I refused to bow to fear. The world will try to rewrite my story. Let it fail. Speak the truth, and my spirit will rise with every voice that refuses to lie." Iba and Jean sat in silence for long moments, letting the weight of those words sink in. The will was more than instructions. It was a legacy, a final gift of courage and guidance that demanded action. Finally, Iba broke the silence. "We do this for him. Every last word, every secret, we bring it into the light." Jean nodded. "For Menglong, for truth, for all of us." And in that moment, the grief that had threatened to drown them turned into fire, a burning determination to honor the will, expose the conspiracies, and ensure that Menglong's final message would shake the world. The nation had mourned him. The court had silenced him. But his will, his testament, had become a weapon of revelation, a blueprint for justice that no force could destroy. And as the first rays of dawn broke over the city, Iba and Jean stood together, ready to carry the final message of Menglong into the world, knowing that his legacy would not die. It would rise. Because truth, the envelope
once
felt
ignited,
heavier than it
cannot
looked.
be extinguished.
Iba's fingers shook as he lifted it from the table. The wax seal, imprinted with Menglong's intricate personal emblem, seemed to pulse faintly under the dim light, as if the man who had written it was somehow watching, guiding their hands. Jean's eyes were wide, reflecting the trembling glow of the lamp. For a moment, neither dared breathe. When Iba broke the seal, a faint scent of ink and old paper floated into the room. The air thickened with anticipation, as if the universe itself held its breath. Inside, there were not only pages of legal language, but also something far more personal, a collection of letters, notes, and recordings, all meticulously organized, each line brimming with the intensity of a life lived under the weight of secrets. The first letter was simple, almost unassuming, yet it carried the weight of a lifetime. "If you are reading this, then I am gone. Know that my death is not the end. It is only the beginning. I leave you my truth, my confessions, and the final fragments of a world that tried to bury me alive." Iba's throat tightened. His hand instinctively reached for Jean's, gripping it with a mixture of fear and resolve. Jean's voice was barely audible, choked with emotion. He trusted us with everything. The next page revealed the chronology of Menglong's final days, every moment recorded with precision. There were sketches of the cell layout, notes about hidden cameras, letters he had written but could never send. Each detail revealed the intelligence and meticulous planning of a man trapped yet unbroken. "I have lived among whispers, shadows, and betrayal. But even in confinement, I am free, because freedom is not the absence of chains. It is the strength to endure them and leave behind a light for those who follow." Iba's eyes burned. Memories flashed, nights when Menglong had protected them from scandal, whispered warnings about hidden enemies, and gentle nudges toward the path of courage. It was impossible not to feel the presence of Menglong in every word. A smaller, folded note caught John's attention. He unfolded it slowly. Inside were instructions for a hidden compartment in Menglong's apartment, containing the notebook he had carried everywhere. The envelope trembled in his hands, as if alive, heavy with unspoken promises. This notebook contains the evidence they tried to destroy. Names, dates, recordings, the proof that I was framed. It also holds a message for you both, a message that will guide you when the world seems darkest. Guard it with your lives. The atmosphere in the room grew oppressive, yet charged with an almost supernatural intensity. Ibo and John could feel Menglong's determination radiating from the paper, an unyielding force that demanded action. Ibo's voice was a whisper, trembling yet firm. He's not just leaving us evidence, he's leaving us his courage. Jean nodded, tears glistening. Every page, every word, he's speaking to us, even now. As they turned another page, the letter revealed a series of personal confessions. Menglong wrote about the pressures he had endured, the manipulation of powerful figures, and the isolation that had become his constant companion. Yet, even in the darkest passages, there was a flicker of light, a declaration of loyalty and love toward Ibo and John. I have feared silence more than death. And yet, I leave these words for you, not for the world, but for the hearts that remained steadfast. You are my chosen witnesses. You are my truth bearers. The emotional weight of these words was almost unbearable. Ibo pressed the letter to his chest, feeling Menglong's heartbeat in every line. Jean's hands shook as he held the pages, as if even the paper could break under the force of the grief and love contained within. Then came the most chilling part, a handwritten confession detailing the orchestrators of his downfall, names he had never spoken aloud, records of meetings, threats, and evidence that could topple powerful figures. Each revelation was like a thunderclap, shaking the room with the magnitude of its implications. Betrayal is often disguised as friendship, mentorship, and guidance. But you, my dearest friends, have seen through it. Now, it is your task to illuminate the darkness. Speak carefully, act decisively, and remember, courage outlasts fear. The rain outside intensified, each droplet striking the window like a drumbeat echoing the urgency of Menglong's words. Ibo and John read in silence, letting the gravity sink into their bones. Menglong had not just left them instructions, he had left them a mission, a moral imperative that demanded bravery beyond any ordinary measure. Ibo's eyes narrowed, resolve hardening. He believed in us more than he could ever tell, and we will not fail him. Jean nodded. Not for him, not for anyone. We carry his truth now. A final envelope remained, smaller than the others, almost delicate. Inside was a recorded message, a short video of Menglong speaking directly to Ibo and John. His voice was calm, steady, but the intensity was piercing. When you see this, I am gone. Remember, my death is not a call to despair, but a call to action. The world will try to rewrite my story. Let it fail. Protect the innocent, expose the guilty, and do not let fear silence you. I leave you everything, not my fame, not my fortune, but the one thing they cannot take, the truth. The video ended with a lingering shot of Menglong, staring directly into the camera, eyes glistening with tears that did not fall. The image burned itself into Ibo and John's minds, a silent command, and a blessing all at once. Outside, the city slept under the rain, unaware of the storm about to be unleashed by two young men who now carried a burden heavier than any crown. Inside that dim room, the air felt charged, thick with the electricity of purpose. They were no longer just mourners. They were guardians of a legacy, witnesses to a truth that could shake the world. Ibo stood and paced, letters clutched in his hands, each step echoing the weight of responsibility. Jean traced the edges of the envelope, his thoughts racing through every moment shared with Menglong. The laughter, the whispered secrets, the warnings, and now the ultimate trust. "We carry him with us," Iba whispered, voice resolute. "Every step, every action, we make sure the world knows what he could not say." Jean nodded, tears finally spilling, rain-like against the dim light of the lamp. "And we will. No matter the cost, we will honor him. His voice will not die with him. It lives in us." The storm outside grew, mirroring the storm within. The city beyond their window seemed to pulse with anticipation, unaware that history was about to be rewritten by two friends bound by grief, loyalty, and the final testament of a man who had faced death with courage unmatched. The letters, the notebook, the recordings, all of it was more than evidence. It was a living, breathing map of justice, a path Menglong had paved with his final moments, his last breaths, and his unwavering love for those he trusted most. And as the first rays of dawn began to pierce the rain-soaked city, Iba and Jean understood one thing with absolute certainty. They were the keepers of his truth, and they would not falter. Menglong had spoken through death, through ink and paper, through a final act of courage that defied silence. And now the world would have to listen.